Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 5 Things. We're going to merge this with the rumour mill this morning, everybody, and I'm going to let you know what's going on in your transfer world. Let me know what you're thinking in the comment section below. Leeds 7th, dizzy heights in the Premier League. My goodness, are we talking about Europe? No, we're not, obviously. Get your thoughts in the section below. We're going to be getting into everything Leeds United today. Your 5 things, my 5 things. Let's get into it, everybody. So first of all, everyone, I wanted to talk about framework and structure. I think last night it was so important that we got some really good performances in the midfield. I've always been a massive advocate of Ethan Ampadu in the midfield. I've always expressed to you guys that I think he's a Premier League midfielder. But when you're looking at Stack, Ampadu, and when you're looking at Tanaka, I just love that in there. It's just got such a nice cohesion between it. And what I mean is you've got Tanaka, who probably is the most advanced ball player, most technical player, but Stack, I think the overall package is he's probably the best midfielder we've got right now, if we're honest with each other. In that first half, he was so good. The ball carrying, the physicality, it's exactly what you need. What I will say is get him off corners. It's ridiculous. Get someone else on corners, whoever that is. Gabby Goodmanson was putting in some brilliant balls. I have to talk about him as well when it comes to the structure and framework, because he was so disciplined as well. You know, that back line had a good front four to contend with throughout the game. Dewsbury Hall, Grealish coming into proceedings, but Illiman and Jai, Beto, who had good form towards the back end last season. Then they had to deal with Tieno Barry, but overall, I thought Goodmanson getting forward and getting back was so important. But the midfield in particular was so structured, so disciplined. I thought we won the midfield battle, and in every Premier League game, that is so important. So let's hope we stick with that. The rotations, I think, was interesting. Maybe he doesn't trust Longstaff as much off the ball, because Gruev was then brought on a little bit before Longstaff, which I didn't expect. Obviously, we've seen the Ramazani thing as well, which I personally think Ramazani is going to go out. We're going to talk about the signing that's coming in just a little bit, but I just don't think he trusts him off the ball. I think you have to trust someone coming onto the pitch off the ball. I don't think he does with Ramazani. Metra as well, thought he was brilliant when he came on, but we're going to get onto sort of like final points in the coming minutes. But overall, the framework there gives you something to build on for me. Okay, so investment needed. Massive. Okay, so as much as we're all buzzing about last night, it's 3 points on the board. We need a quick start. Amazing. Investment is needed. I think we're all aware of that. I think when you were going forward, I was watching Spurs Burnley at the weekend, and I think when they were going forward, they're actually good in that movement, just getting to that final third. I think when they got to that point, they struggled a little bit against Tottenham. Burnley were well in that game for large parts of it, by the way. But I think in a sense, it happened with Leeds a little bit. I think James looked a little bit rushed. I think when it came to Willie Gnonto, who was inverting a lot, wasn't he? Which killed some of the counter-attacks when you'd have Stack bombing on and Goodmanson bombing on. But at points in that first half, it felt like Goodmanson and Stack were our most attacking threats. And we saw that as well, didn't we, in the AC Milan game, where Stack was the attacking threat. Peru was good when it comes to linking up play. I didn't think DJ was an immense threat. And I think when we're looking at it overall, we need a lot more potency in that attacking third. I think Leeds need that. Prague was speaking beforehand about, you know, not looking at the commercial side as much, but wanting players in to be able to help the lads on the pitch. Leeds still need, in my opinion, 3, maybe even 4 signings, and that is achievable. But 3 at the bare minimum to come in, and we need in that attacking line some, I think, just a clinical nature, of which we were seeking with Pajau and Muniz, which gives you that elevated sort of level. And you could see last night that when it came to the foundation, it was really good. And that's not with our starting centre-back there as well, by the way. You know, and a right-back who's only just come back into proceedings. But if you're able to get it right going forward as well, Leeds could be on something really good right now. Really, really good. And you've seen almost the substitutes last night when it comes to Mecha, who will be substitute throughout the season. Peru, who will be a substitute if an attacker comes in, which they have to do a number 9. And obviously DCL is going to come into proceedings as well, isn't he? But you'd hope they're going to go for another number 9. I think the substitutes have shown, and the rotation has shown, that Leeds United can rely on these players, especially in that Everton game. The amount of yards they ran, you know, the varying styles in terms of Peru just coming short, and Mecha being that almost man who battled and tried to turn the centre backs, which I thought was really important yesterday. But we do need number 9. We do need a left winger. and we do need fullback cover. We really do. It's so important at Leeds United. So investment and Leeds getting ahead of the game very quickly, or, you know, at least catching up with the game at this point in the season is really important still. Well, number 3, everybody, it's no Okafor about to sign, and we were just speaking about investment. We're speaking about a little bit of pace, potency in that attacking third, and hopefully this guy's going to bring it. The Swiss international looks to be signing for Leeds United in around 20 million euros, which is brilliant. Let's hope that he comes through the door. I flagged on here his injury record before, not being great when it comes to availability over the past 12 months. Obviously, been playing for Napoli, been on loan, not really been part of their Scudetto winning season. and him almost been the forgotten man, but you kind of look at his career at RB Leipzig and he was excellent. He's a Swiss international, 6 foot tall, can play as a number 9. I hope that's not the number 9 replacement, but or someone to feature in the number 9 because he doesn't like playing there. If you've seen interviews with Noah before, he does prefer playing on the wing, and you're led to believe that as well by interviews in just publications, etc. He does prefer playing on that left-hand side. I've mentioned before the physical readiness, and it comes to maybe him just being a little bit slight on the ball, but what he is, he's an excellent dribbler, and he's quick. And that is what we needed last night. I thought Leeds missed it, and we missed it a little bit with Ramazani not being in there for me at points. And I feel on that counter-attack, and especially with Ramazani's ball striking in the final third with either foot, I think he could have made an impact yesterday and really set Everton back at points. I would have brought him on yesterday, but I think Farke was more worried about the off-the-ball work, which clearly is a problem with Ramazani, which we've mentioned before. So it wouldn't surprise me if Ramazani was to go out, Okafor was to come in. I would prefer to keep hold of them both, but maybe Ramazani's knocking on the gaffer's door and going, well, where am I in this pecking order now and last night? You're bringing Aronson on ahead of me, and now Okafor comes in, so where am I? So it could be potentially a Joseph situation where he just goes, well, I'm not getting minutes, so I want to go out there, and that would be likely. But listen, overall, when you look at it, Leeds' fluidity going forward, I think it's just got to that point of which, and Farke has mentioned this as well, that there is something missing or a couple of things missing in that final third. Leeds do need to address that. Brilliant last night, but I think there was so many points of which Leeds looked excellent. You have the little 1-2s between Tanaka, Stack and Goodmanson and getting into that point just before the defence, but then we weren't able to do anything. And that's why I mentioned Burnley and Spurs earlier on, because they were the exact same. Burnley, they got to that point just before the Spurs defence, and they couldn't find the right pass. The killer ball wasn't there. And I think Neville and Carragher were talking about this last night in terms of Leeds just not having that final ball and that clinical nature in the final third. Brilliant last night, but that does need to be developed on. And we've got less than 2 weeks till the end of the window. So really important that. But hopefully that starts with Noah Okafor coming in, Leeds United, and then maybe a number 9, hopefully. Maybe even another attacker, who knows? And then a fullback, of course. Okay, so it's the first step, isn't it? Number 4. The first step of Leeds United's Premier League campaign, something to build on, confidence. I mentioned last night, if you get 11 points in your first 10, teams don't go down. They do not go down. You improve, you develop, you've got confidence, mentality, consistency. Really important for Leeds United, that. And the building block was laid last night. Sunderland and Leeds winning the first game week is huge. It never happens. We've never seen it happen for years and years and years in the Premier League. We're all aware of that. And can we be the difference makers? Can Burnley be the difference makers? As I said, they didn't have a bad performance at the weekend, potentially. So the next 2 games that we've got coming up, I think is going to be very, very tough. I think we're aware of that. Arsenal in particular is going to be a real tough game at the Emirates. But Biel comes back in. You're looking at DCL being in the squad. Okafor hopefully is going to be in the squad as well. And then maybe another signing, maybe a couple of signings. If we move quickly, we've seen how the likes of Sunderland have moved very, very quickly in this window. Can Leeds do something similar? I'd hope so. But really important, in my opinion, that first step was made. And now we've got 3 points on the board. We can kind of look at these 2, make realistic assessments, but go into it with a little bit of hope. If we have that structure, bearing in mind we've been really solid throughout pre-season. Arsenal didn't look amazing against Man United. Could we offer an unbelievable surprise? Who knows? But that's what you've got to go into these games with, haven't you? A little bit of confidence. And like I've said, everybody, when it comes to the structure and the framework, once again, on the 5, it is the obsession with that midfield. That midfield is a Premier League midfield, easily. I think we have got, I'm going to be a little bit biased here, but I do think we've got the best midfield of the promoted teams. I think we've got probably some of the best midfield. I would actually put us up against Brentford, and I would put us up against West Ham United as well. I rate it that highly. The balance in there was so good. Tanaka grew into the game massively, and as soon as Tanaka grew into that second half, Stack then grew into that second half. I thought Ampadu was really solid up against Dewsbury Hall, which was clearly his task last night. No nonsense, captain-like in the midfield. And is that what the likes of West Ham, what the likes of Brentford are missing? And Ampadu, a player in there like that. So I think the balance of that midfield is so important. I mentioned the structure and the framework at the very beginning, but if Leeds can have that consistent midfield every single week, I think with the likes of Longstaff coming off the bench, being that runner, being important in certain games and adding that physicality, that's also really, really, really important for this Leeds United side. I would like to add as well about the corners. I know I've mentioned Stack as well, but we're touching on him again. He's got to get off the corners. That's an instruction from Farke. I completely understand. that he's a crisp taker of a corner. And I understand, you want an in-swinger, you want an out-swinger, etc., etc. You want variance there. You've got to get him off the corners. He's 6'4". They showed the biggest players in the Leeds United team. Perry is not going to be involved in corners, 6'5". Stack, 6'4", taking the corners. You've got Biol, obviously, who wasn't playing last night. He's going to be involved at the weekend, but that means Rodon or Strout goes out. So you replace like for like, really, there. Then you've got Bornau, who's on the bench, 6'3". And then you've got, obviously, DCL or Metcha, who might be both on the bench as well. So you've got to have, I was looking at it last night, the balls that were coming in. I mean, Leeds had about 6 corners in 14 minutes. And we didn't do anything with them. And that is the marginal gain that Leeds are going to get this year against some of the bigger teams you'd expect, and some of the smaller teams as well. But that marginal gain of being good from set piece is going to be so important. So I need Stack in the box, Biol in the box, Rodon in the box, or Strauch in the box. I think Strauch's a better header, isn't he? And then Metcha, DCL, a new 9 coming in, whoever. But you've got to really fill that box because they're the marginal, incremental gains that can keep Leeds United up this season. It could be a goal, could be 3 goals that we get from set pieces. But especially against an Arsenal side, it was very, very good when it comes to set pieces. We're coming up against that very soon. We've got to be spot on when it comes to that. And there was a couple of times, even from defensive standpoint last night, Jake O'Brien got in between our defence and nodded one over, didn't he? You obviously saw it bumbling, and Tarkowski headed it over as well. But on another day, that goes into the back of the net. And it's not to be slight on Leeds United whatsoever. It's just the basics being absolutely nailed down when it comes to set pieces and getting Stack in the box when it comes to taking set pieces, but also being a bit more regimented, a bit more fierce when it comes to defending set pieces as well. Albeit we did a decent holistic job last night, but it's just the little moments where you need your individual battles to be a little bit stronger. Guys, let us know what you think in the comment section below. What are your 5 things? Please let me know. Interested to hear what you have to say on this one. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because we are updating every single day. Really appreciate everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. This has been the return of the 5 things. Like, comment, subscribe. Keep that notification bell on. And OK jersey winners last night, well done. If you want that in the future, you have to be there on the watch along. See you in a bit, guys.